Greetings, ones and ones. Here again to share my proceeds with everyone. And this proceed is particularly in the arrangement geared towards transmutation and manifestation. And as we talk about transmutation and manifestation, the way that information has been brought or has been revealed within my soul is in the nature of sensuality and sexuality. So as we talk about sensuality, sensuality is towards spirit, as sexuality is towards the physical. Spirit and physical being the holistic embodiment within the human being. So the human being is both sensual and sexual. Now, this revelation came to me as I was in tune with the full moon that is coming up in 2 days, I think. 2 days, yes, in about 2 days. And this full moon is bringing up emotions within me, as it is with everyone. That's what the full moon does. It brings the tides. It increases the tides. It increases the emotions. It increases the sensuality. So your senses are heightened. So you become more spiritual in actuality and less physical. This is the equilibrium within the earth, if you are sensitive in that nature. So sensuality is to spirit as sexuality is to physical. And as the full moon is coming, it is going to raise your tides, raise your emotions, raise your sensuality. When a person is not aware or is not purposeful in directing your energies, one of the outcomes of that energy, of that sensual energy, anyways, no. Okay, hold on. There's something within that also wants to come through in terms of being within my soul, a revelation. Sensual. Okay, it will come up at another time. Okay, I'm going to bring it up now. Sensuality is multidimensional in its understanding of or within spirit. Within spirit, sensuality has instructions in how to be sensual, in how to sense you are, in how to be responsible to the all that there is. Sense you all. So as I sense you all, this is me giving my proceeds to everyone. The sensual nature that I'm experiencing currently is one where my emotions, my energy in motion is flowing through divine source, through my vessel unto you the observer, the witness, and should you choose to receive it, then it affects you as it affects us. So this is the sensual nature in this manifestation moon. So the moon is about to be, or there's about to be a full moon. And in this full moon, it raises your sensuality. And this is my manifestation. The other side of the full moon is the new moon, which that's the dark moon, they would say. There's no light. In that aspect, that is transmutation. That is where you reveal inwardly. Yes, you reveal inwardly what is given or transmuted to you. As this is given or transmuted to you inwardly, you have that revelation, and that's the seed being planted, being prodded. I'm being prodded to speak freely. Okay. So, as the seed in the new moon, that seed in the new moon is what is deemed to be a sexual encounter. So you're putting it into the earth, as opposed to the sensual, where you're manifesting out into the world. You're shining. That's why the moon shines in a manifestation, in a sensual nature, and then during transmutation, it is planted into the darkness, and that is considered to be of a sexual nature. That is considered to be more of a physical nature. So there now where it's directly linked to sexual intercourse. So the new moon is a moment energetically described for or prescribed for physical sexual intercourse into yourself, as well as with a partner, should you choose that arrangement in your life. Farmers use this methodology in planting seeds during new moon. And there are certain crops that are planted, crops? Should I use the word crops? There are certain seeds, let's not say crops. There are certain seeds that are planted in the earth during new moon. So this is a transmutation into the earth, and when you plant it during new moon, it is best received by the earth, and as a result manifest into fruits in a more orderly abundance. So now, let me repeat that: sensual and sexual. When you find yourself in a manifestation moment, in a new moon, no, correction. When you find yourself in a new moon moment, that new moon moment is going to have you in a sexual nature physically. Now, that doesn't mean that you have to engage in sexual intercourse physically. However, you will be charged with doing something more physical. And this something more physical could be gardening, planting a seed physically in the earth. It could be sketching, drawing, doing something more physical of a planting seed nature, like you're planning nature. And in this sense, it's a more free planning. That's how I would describe the physical aspect, which is more of a sexual nature. Now, in this new moon, in this full moon, okay, keep going on the new moon. So the new moon also, another example, is for people who are in the institutions of higher learning, quote unquote higher learning, these are the times when you introduce new ideas to people. So to students, if you're a teacher, or if you're being taught, you introduce new ideas to yourself. And these new ideas come about in a more fertile manner when you do it during the new moon. An example of a new idea to be taught in mathematics, for example, is that currently in the human arrangement of understanding of zero represents nothing. So you say 0 plus 1 equals 1. You count the 0 for nothing. You say 0 plus 2 equals 2. You count the 0 for nothing. 0 plus 3 equals 3. You count the 0 for nothing. Now, in a new moon time, you could teach this ideology that I'm proposing now, where you say 0 represents everything. 0 represents all that there is. And it is from within the 0 that 1 comes. So then 0 plus 1 equals 0 plus 1. You never remove the 0 from the 1. When you say 0 plus 1, what you're saying is 0 and 1, which means that the 1 is coming from within the 0. And you say 0 plus 2 is 0 and 2. 0 plus 3 is 0 and 3. Always keeping the 0 there to be mindful physically that this is what is actually happening. Now, to go further into this lesson, 0 is everything. And in the previous analogy, I don't like using that word, in the previous example, 0 was nothing. So now in this example, 0 is everything. So 0 plus 1, 0 and 1. 0 plus 2, 0 and 2. 0 plus 3, 0 and 3. And you keep that going all the way up to 9. When you get to 0 plus 9, then you'll see what I'm saying. 0 plus 9 is 0 and 9. So now when you get to 10, you get to 0 plus 1 plus 0. 0 and 1 and 0. So now you see that you've encountered, or you've encountered another 0, which is everything. So now you realize the 1 that is there is actually between everything. It's between everything and everything, which we wouldn't say everything and everything, because then you begin to belittle what everything is. So you wouldn't say it's between 0 and 0. You wouldn't say it's between everything and everything. Correction. You wouldn't say it's between 0 and 0. Because that would be to belittle 0 and to highlight 1. You would say 1 is a wedge between everything. Unless we recognize that the 1 is within 0. Then you say, 1 has gotten to a place where it is an obstacle to itself. It's an obstacle to itself. How is that? Well, it's an obstacle to itself when that 1 doesn't recognize that it came from the 0. So now it's thinking that it is more than the 0. Even to have a thought that that 1 is a wedge, it's thinking that it's more than the 0, because it came from the 0. So how can it be a wedge? How can it be a wedge if it came from the 0? It cannot, It's only in the perception of that one that it has the trauma of being within, having the perception that it is separate from the zero. and even as I'm speaking these words, it's a revelation to me what is happening. So now 0 and 9, 0 and 9, 0. How is it I'm saying 0 and 9, 0? Well, 0 allows you freely to get to 9, and then once you go beyond 9, you get to 10, which is 0 and 1 and 0. It reminds you that, look, this is the second time you're encountering 1. Don't think too much of yourself. You're freely allowed to get to 9 to have an understanding. And then once you get to 0, 1, 0, you are being reminded that you're going beyond your initial illusion, let's say. You're going beyond your initial illusion, because 1 is the first illusion, and you're allowed to have this illusion. However, this illusion is called reality. This is where space-time comes into play, and there's the absolute, which is 0, and then there's the relative, which is the 1. So now you have 9 relatives. You're allowed to have 9 relatives. And as an example of the 9 relatives, I'm going into genealogy now, where you have a mother and a father, right? And that's 2. That mother and that father has also a mother and a father. Okay, so I'm going to use my hands. You have, as 1, you have a mother and a father. That mother and a father has a mother and a father. So you have 2 on this side, and then you have 2 on this side. That is, what's that? That's 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Right? Okay. Now you have that mother and a father has, should you choose to acknowledge, also a mother and a father. So then they have, that would be what, 4 more? There you go. That would be 4 more on each side. No, that would be 4 more, which takes you to 10, because that's 6 plus 4 equals 10. There you have it. You shouldn't go beyond, what's that, the great grandparents, genealogy speaking. Once you get beyond the great grandparents, you're going into further illusion. Okay, that was heavy for me also. So now that is the 9 ether being registration happening within my soul, and I'm sharing the proceeds as I'm having the revelation. So that's the 9 ether being registration within genealogy. And as that happens, I'm being reminded to do that demonstration again. So I have a mother and a father. Okay, so how best to do this? Use the middle finger. Okay, I have a mother and a father. So this is I. Mother, father. My mother has a mother and a father. Okay. And my father has a mother and a father. So that is 1, 2, 3 on this side. 1, 2, 3 on this side. Including myself, that is 7. Okay. That's the 7 chakras, that's the 7 rainbows. That also the 7 seals that Rasta talk about. And that is a reminder that 7 is a manifestation. The number 7 represents manifestation. So you are the 7th. You are the manifestation holder. As the manifestation holder, you can choose to recognize 2 more grandparents, should you choose. Either way, you're going to get to 9, and then when you get to 9, then you get to 10. You do not want to go beyond 10 because that's really an illusion, because these are your reality. These are your real family. These are your real family. The familial unit. Good. So now, all right. That, okay. The familial unit. So now, the familial unit is the technology of the experience that we are here to have. That familial unit, I'm going to stick for the moment, or I'm going to work it this way, where we talk about, I'm talking to your soul, I'm talking to my soul, so I'm going to say we, where we talk about the manifestation, the 7th, as I am in my 7th incarnation in the soul imprint. And that 7 is important in my soul. So that is how I'm transmitting the 7 to you in this manner, as of that importance. So the 7 chakras, 7 colors of the rainbow, the 7 seals, as Rasta would say, 7, and I'm going to keep it at that. There are many 7s. So that takes care of the transmutation, planting the seed, the physicality into the earth, and how we manifest that as a familial unit, as a familial technology to have the experience here on earth as humans. That is something that every human within their soul will resonate with. This being said, I'm charged with highlighting 6. When you see 6, that is representation of us being 6 ether beings, as well as 9 ether beings. The 6th ether aspect is the physical aspect, which is 666. The 666 is the carbon relationship within the genetic makeup. And that 666 is 6 protons, 6 neutrons, 6 electrons. Those 6, 3 6s, 18. And this is how you manifest into the spiritual aspect of it. 3, 6 is 18, 8 and 1 is 9 ether beings. As we are 9 ether beings, now I highlight that we actually have 9 chakras, and that we actually have 9 seals as opposed to 7 seals. The 9 chakras are earth chakra, root chakra, sacral chakra, sacral chakra. Okay, let me slow down. The rainbow also has 9 colors. The rainbow has 9 colors. There is 9 colors of the rainbow, 9 chakras, and 9 seals within the human body. The 9 colors of the rainbow are black, red, yellow, black, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet, and then silver. Those are the colors of the rainbow. And the 9 seals are the 2 eyes, 2 nose, 1 mouth, 2 ears, the anus, and the sexual organ. Yes. Or the genitals. There you go. So that is 9 holes or 9 gates. So we did the rainbow, we did the 9 gates, and the 9 chakras. The 9 chakras are the earth, star chakra, root chakra, sacral chakra, the identity body, which is the 4th, and this is the yellow, which is there's resistance within me to say this chakra. There's resistance within me to say this chakra because throughout this transmission I've been speaking more, linguistically speaking, more English rather than Jamaican, rather than Patois, rather than Rasta. Right? So now this is a transmutation for me personally, and I'm sharing it, with the ones and ones. The identity body, this is the solar plexus, right? Now, how is it that my personality changed all of a sudden? All of a sudden it just changed. Me encounter the resistance, and now me I transmute the resistance. And in transmuting that resistance, I allow myself to be totally free of the ego where I hold on to hiding. It's like the Rasta in me no want say these things. The Rasta in me no want explain these things, because Rasta really come through the lineage of the Bible. As it comes through the lineage of the Bible, in terms of validation, because Rasta exists. Rasta as a conception exists before the Bible. And Rasta in Jamaica get highlighted or come to themselves before the Bible. Then use the Bible for validation of what it is that they cite up, that we cite up within ourselves, within oneself. Right? So that's why now within me I was encountering resistance when I deal with those other type of knowledge. Because those other type of knowledge is a trauma to Rasta. Because of how Rasta validate themselves through the Bible. Through the billing of the Bible. Because once you validate yourself through something, meaning say you validate yourself through a trauma, that trauma build you. Two kind of build me I talk about. Build as in contractually, it build you, right? It make you arise, right? It develop you. Even that word I never too want to use, but it make you, right? That is one, building, build, B-U-I-L-D, build. But at the same time, when we say build you, it means to say charge you. So you have to pay for that, right? And as Rasta, we pay for a whole lot of things. Where the earth in our heart no want to recognize. Say we pay for that with trauma. So now in a me I reveal that trauma, me I get out that trauma, me I move the resistance there. Me I take myself out of that sinful state there, because sin is a loss of memory. So now me I remember totally. Ashe. Now me I remember. Now I am in revelation totally of that trauma. The solar plexus. We are sun beings. We are 9 ether beings. So Rasta is something that is subservient to my cosmic nature. That is the thing where never want to come out. Because Rasta, as Rasta, how we come about, we protect the trauma. So, enough Rasta no want to admit, no want to submit to the cosmic nature. And is a default. Now for me, as me submit to my cosmic nature as Rasta, it's a beautiful thing, it's a privilege. Now me see the fullness of the gates of Rasta. And seeing that Rasta is a gate through divine source, in divine source. So there's many ways in divine source. Rasta are one, Christian are one, who else? 5D, people who talk about 5D is another one. The Muslim is another gate. Right? And there's many more. Christ consciousness, you know, all of them is the same thing with different label. Christ consciousness, Rasta, Christian, Muslim, all of them is the same energy. We have different signature. Right? It's like you have a contract and you say, okay, I've been Rasta, I've been Christian, I've been whoever. And as I've been this, I've conquered that ego to go through the gate of divine source and to my cosmic nature. Yes. Okay, so now we get to solar plexus. And from the solar plexus, then you have the heart. Start over. No. solar plexus, then you have the heart, then you have the throat chakra, then you have the third eye, you have the crown, and then outside of the physical body, you have the soul star chakra. Right? So that's a 9. Good. So that is what me I talk about now. When me I say the new moon would be a time to introduce things like that when you teach certain things. Howbeit then that this is a full moon, and may I introduce it to even myself, to my soul fully. Well, this is a reciprocative action. So while the order is transmutation, then manifestation, transmutation, manifestation, transmutation, manifestation, sensual, sexual, sensual, sexual, sensual, sexual. The thing that is highlighted is the order, and within that order there is complementary actions that are allowed to take place. Now, as I mentioned, that the primary is to have within the consciousness that the full moon is representational of the sensational, and the new moon is representational of the sexual. Good? Excellent. All right. So now, in this full moon, that is me exhibiting my sensual nature, bringing out the sensuality, the manifestation of what is, that of what was, no, of what is planted in my earth star in the previous new moon. Ashe. So now the question is, no, it's not a question. I will continue regarding the moon. Yes. So the moon is manifestation. The full moon represents a manifestation. As the full moon, you say, now may I get eager again. There's so many things. I'm bursting with joy, right? Spreading this information within my soul, trusting that it is receptive within the human populace, because I'm absolutely certain that within Mother Earth I am received. Ashe. So the moon, there's 13 moons in a yearly cycle. 13 moons. 13 full moon, 13 new moon. A full moon and a new moon, that's one cycle, as experience revolving around the sun, the solar plexus. That 13, now, this is the importance as revealed right now about that 13 moon in a yearly cycle. A year, by the way, when you look at it as a palindrome, a year, Y-E-A-R, R-A-E-Y, raey is a ray. A year is a ray. So when you say a cycle, you're talking about an array, right? A year represents an array, and that array is monitored and observed by the moon. That array of light is monitored and observed by the moon, the mother, the nurturer. Ashe. So that 13 moon is telling you that 1 and 3 is 4. Keep in mind that we need to calibrate whenever we see or computation go beyond 9. So 13 is reduced to 4. 4 represents foundational balance. So within a yearly cycle, which is monitored and observed by 13 moons, there is a foundational balance. Foundational balance is something you build on, a balance that you build on. Otherwise, if you don't have that balance, you have imbalances. You have illusions that you're building on. That 4 of 13 is a second how do I term it? It is that 4 is in your nature. That 4 is in your nature. And as that 4 is in your nature and revealed in your nature, you manifest it. So that 4 is to be calibrated into your solar plexus, which is the first ordered 4, counting from the Earth Star chakra. Earth Star, root, sacral, solar plexus. That's the first and only 4. So whenever you see 13, you calibrate. 3 and 1 is 4, and you equate it. No, you transmute it in your solar plexus. You transmute it through your solar plexus, not in, through your solar plexus, in your heart, as created in your sacral. Ashe. And the order of that is in your heart, which is the 5th. That's spiritual and physical balance, as created in your 3rd, which is the Trinity, creative completion. Ashe. So at 4 years old, you have a foundational balance. "13" is also the first teenager. What is a teenage? Palindrome of a teenage would I say is a eager neat. You're eager to be neat, which really means in this age you're eager to hide, to present yourself as an adult, as someone who knows. That is a teenager. And this is usually the age that this civilization of humans say is a problematic age, because the ego then is twisted unto itself even further to hide more of its trauma. So the trauma that wasn't dealt with prior to this is now twisted unto itself, and the ego becomes more activated in hiding. This is the significance of the 13th moon. The 13th moon cycle, as recorded in my soul. Excuse me. And as I remove that gas from my system, I'm being reminded of the transition that I'm having as I'm transmuting these messages. I'm being reminded to slow down. Ashe. And have the experience as what it is that I am doing is not for amusement purposes. I'm recording publicly my healing. Ashe. These are the memories within my soul that I am sharing with the human populace in the earth at this moment, to bring forth a healing to the earth's soul. I am a cosmic being processing what is deemed to be spirituality. I am that I am. I am a cosmic being having a not understood that way. I am a cosmic being spiritually processing through the collective consciousness. The opportunity to witness the flow of vibration of energy through divine source is a beautiful one that I trust every human to take the opportunity to have the experience. Being cause I know that we all have our choices, and I am testifying that the choice to do good, to be benevolent, is the only order that exists in reality to have love be an experience. Ashe. And I'm listening to the night, as they would say. And it is a beautiful orchestra. I trust that my portrayal of sensuality and sexuality as a transmutation and manifestation process is well received. Ashe.